everyone, it's Helen here from Bodywork-Pilates, and here's another in our How to Get the Best From series. And today we're going to look at seated spine stretch. Now this can be a challenging exercise for anybody that's a little tight in the hamstrings and finds sitting upright with the legs outstretched difficult. But we can modify it. You can elevate the hips by sitting on a couple of blocks. You can actually do it with the legs slightly bent, and there's nothing stopping you from doing it seated on a chair as well, if you needed to. We obviously tend to do it sitting on the floor in our mat work classes, and that's what we're going to do today. Okay, so outstretch the legs, and again, this is where it can get a little bit difficult for people. If you find yourself, when you're sitting, in this kind of position, and unable to sit upright with your legs straight, then either elevate the hips or bend the knees slightly. It's important that we start and finish in this lengthened spine, in these natural curves. So we want to get the same spinal position that we would have in good posture standing. So we're talking about slightly retracting the chin, so we elevate the base of the skull. We're talking about keeping the ribs in but lifting the breastbone, so we open up the spaces at the front edge of the body. We have the natural curve of the low back, most difficult position to establish those natural curves, but they're there. So we have that natural curve to the low back. We find ourselves sitting right up onto the top of the bones of the bum. And the shoulders and the upper back are nice and wide, the arms are just relaxed. So if you need to bend the knees, if you need to elevate the hips a little bit, do that. It's the spinal position that we're looking at. Okay. So it's about lengthening the spine, it's about opening up that length of the spine in a nice smooth action. It's about opening up around the lower back that can sometimes get a little bit tight, and at the back of the pelvis as well, where sometimes we don't even notice the tightness until it's gone. So I'm going to sit with my legs outstretched, I'm going to sit with my feet slightly flexed so my toes are towards the ceiling. I'm going to think about my posture, so I'm right above my sitting bones. I can feel the weight dropping down right through the very centre channel of my body. I've got a very slight engagement of the legs, so sitting here you'll just naturally find that your thighs will slightly tighten. It's almost like your pants are growing just a little bit too tight. And then you want to feel that slight drawing away, so through the midsection, that slight drawing away from the material of your clothing, that slight corset wrapping sensation is how you might recognise it, that little bit of drawing in. And that should come from the whole of the abdominal area, not just the area below the belly button or at the waist. And we want to feel that we're opening up the spaces of the spine by pressing down in order to elevate up. So getting that feeling of rising. So there's an activity in the body. You may also recognise that sense of gently lifting up through the muscles of pelvic floor. Okay, so any or all of those engaged would be nice. And the breathing, as always, is the same. We breathe in through the nose, we expand the rib cage, we breathe out through the nose or the mouth as you prefer. So taking the arms forward, dropping the shoulders down. And we'll just break this down a little bit. As you breathe out, just get that feeling that you're rolling off the bones of your bum. It's the same tilting action that you get in shoulder bridge. So if you're familiar with shoulder bridge, you'll know that slight rolling action as you press that lower back away. Now you'll notice I've not pushed my head, I've not done anything weird with my shoulders. I've simply gone from sitting upright to drawing back and then lift back up again. Now, there's a not very pleasant analogy for this, but it is quite effective. So if you imagine as you pull back that you're pulling away from a punch in the low belly, so that's the space above the pubic bone and below the navel, okay? So it's that little bit below the navel, above the pubic bone, and you want to feel like you're pulling away. If somebody had hold of the back of your pants, you're pulling away from there. So we start in this long lifted position, we keep our legs engaged, those feet pressing away, and as you breathe out, just tilt as if you're doing shoulder bridge, pressing that low back away, shoulders haven't changed, there's no tension in my neck, and then lift and restack all the way back up. So we breathe out, you get this feeling of gently scooping in, and then we breathe up to dullness. And again, we breathe out, and then we breathe in. Okay, so that's just that little rolling action. It's tiny, so don't be looking for great big grand gestures because it's just not going to happen. Okay, if we add on to that to complete that nice scooping curve. So as you breathe out, you're going to start in your tall position, those engaged legs, that feeling of lifting, lengthening, slightly engaging pelvic floor abdominals. You're going to roll away through the low back, so just come off the bones of your bum towards the sacrum. Take a breath in, and then as you breathe out, imagine somebody's got hold of your fingers and they start to draw your arms forward. Letting the chin soften. So you've created this big scooping sensation. We haven't hoiked the shoulders up, so keep the shoulders sliding down. And then as you breathe in, just draw back, restack, base of the spine, all the way through to the crown of the head, up nice and tall. Do it again. We'll do that again in a moment. What you need to remember is that at no point should you feel a significant change, if any, in your hamstrings. So whatever your hamstrings feel like when you start, that's pretty much what happens. What I see happen is, I see people hinging forward at the hips into this hamstring stretch, and they start complaining about the hamstring. Well, actually, this is spine stretch, it's not hamstring stretch. So try to keep your hamstrings as is and concentrate only on that rounding action. So the pelvis tilts. So if it were a bowl of water at level, as you tilt, you'd be tipping the water out the back of the bowl. Okay, so you tip, and then you get this feeling of slightly drawing down through the breastbone and the rib cage, and then being pulled gently forward, so you get that rounding action. It's a nice rounding action in the spine, and then being just as careful to restack the spine. So coming forward, you want to restack. Think of putting every vertebra back up in this little order until you lift up again out the crown of the head. Okay, so let's do that a couple more times. So again, nice engaged long legs, feet are flexed, so the feet are part of the equation. We've got that sensation of controlling the body, so we have that natural slight corseting around the centre of the body, that natural perhaps lifting of the pelvic floor. We're lifting the breastbone, but we're not popping the ribs out. We've got the chest and the upper back open, the chin is slightly drawn in. The arms are forward without doing anything odd with your shoulders. As you breathe out, you're going to bring that lower back into the space behind you, and you're going to bring the upper body into the space in front of you. And then as you breathe in, gently restack, crown of the head comes up last, and ready to do it again. So draw away, as if somebody were pulling on the back of your pants, gently round forward as if somebody had hold of your fingers. Feel nothing change into your hamstrings at the backs of the thighs. Restack. One more time, so rolling away through the low back. You'll feel yourself roll off the bones of your bum towards your sacrum. Keep the shoulders down, soften the chin, don't use the head too heavily, and be gently drawn forward. So you might feel yourself really opening up in this big thick band at the back of the waistband, maybe even moving to the back of the pelvis. All the way back up, release, and relax. So that's spine stretch, seated spine stretch forward. I really, really like that exercise. It's such a nice, achievable exercise. It's a really good movement. And the stretch is nice, but the restacking of the spine is just as important. So we learn how to go from being in this rounded position into this upright lifted position, where our lungs are open, where our shoulders are set, where we take the tension out of the neck. So the restacking side of it is just as important. Don't skip that bit. Let me know how you get on. Take care.